Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We're thrilled to death that you're listening to our show, wherever you are, in the world even. Like, maybe you're in Poland, maybe you're in Germany, maybe you're Joe, sitting there building pedals, my pal Joe over in the UK. I already miss you, buddy.
Hello, sailor.
Yes. Maybe you're Chris from R2R listening along.
Hello,
hey, you never know.
Chris.
All these folks are out here. Welcome, everybody. And we are imagining you are all gathered with us around this table.
A campfire.
Of squares, yes.
A campfire of guitars.
Yes. I said a table of squares. I don't know what that means.
A table of squares.
A table of squares. That sounds like a really good album name.
Yes.
Like from some prog thing.
Yeah. It's the latest Yes album.
Yes.
A table of squares.
Yes.
Excuse me while I put my cape on.
Yeah. Okay, so we got a couple. The biggest thing is we need to announce our guest. That's what we got. We got a great
We have a
interview
guest?
today.
I thought it was just you and I tonight.
Nope. We got a great guest. Guest, who are you?
Dave Hunter.
Dave Hunter, the Dave Hunter.
The Dave Hunter.
Well, one of them.
Yes. One of the few people whose nom de plume actually worked out to be the same name.
Well, I often go by David, so that would
That throws it way off.
yeah. Slight
I'm going to
wrench.
leave that in there for just for
Banner
the
in the
sheer
works.
awkwardness
Yeah.
of all that.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
Yes. And anyway, so if we hadn't made that clear, Dave Wood is a nom de plume.
It is a pen name
Yes.
in French. Yeah.
Yes. Often used by lady authors of the early writing era. Because
Like in the Stone Age?
no, not
That's right. When they were etching things into the walls
Yes,
of caves.
Writing manuscripts in papyrus.
like Dickens
Just
era.
inventing
that was
that
a big
writing
thing.
thing.
Yeah, a lot of.
Well, I know. There were.
To get published, yeah. Yeah.
I heard there's actually a theory, and I've seen it a couple of times, that William Shakespeare
Yes.
was basically a figurehead
Yeah.
for the person who actually wrote all that stuff, which was a woman. Just, hey.
So
Yeah.
what is all this talk of authors and
There's
pen
been a
names
lot
and
of-
such?
A lot written and said about that. And I don't know how much water that carries.
Yeah.
Are you saying that Dave Hunter, who we're speaking to right now, is an author?
Dave, are you an author?
I am in part an author. Yes.
Good. Boy, thank you for wrapping that up, because that was starting
Yeah. That was going on, wasn't it?
Yeah. Anyways, we've got a fantastic new book right in front of us,
Oh, yes.
and we're going to be talking all about this book. Is it available yet, Dave?
It's available, I believe, on October 8th.
Oh, perfect.
Oh,
so that'll
perfect.
be next week.
Or maybe October 6th. I forget what. Yeah, but it's available early next week, I think. Whatever dates they designate. Sometimes there are odd dates for these things. But
Okay.
yes, it is coming very soon.
Okay,
Yeah.
this will be out early next week, and should be not quite that time yet, but by sometime next week, you all will be able to get this yourselves. Where can people go to check out some of your other works and just the things that you're doing, Dave?
I mean, the books are available from all the usual places. The books that are still in print. Some of them have faded into the sunset, but otherwise, all the usual booksellers would have any of those. Otherwise, I write for Guitar Player magazine and Vintage Guitar magazines on a regular basis, and Premier Guitar now and then, and other bits and pieces.
Excellent. So you're
Yeah.
all over the place.
Yeah,
in
somewhat.
the best way possible.
Well, I hope so.
All right. Well, we are going to get into this in just a little bit. We have just a couple of quick announcements, everybody.
Yes.
In the ongoing drama about all these pedals that we've been giving away, we have the second to last today. And this is the Old Blood Noise Endeavors BL82 Chorus.
I love it.
Yes. And this is going to
Rusty Sneeden.
That is correctamundo.
According to my notes here.
Yes, that's exactly that's going to. Rusty, thank you. Congratulations. We will get this out to you really soon. We're very excited.
You're going to love it.
You're going to get it. And we appreciate your support and everybody else who is, we know, one of our Patreon supporters. And that's who we're giving the stuff that we get away to. So if you're interested in that, join up. I will say that that does exclusively go to our paid memberships. We've got a lot of free ones that, you know, hey, we're grateful for the support there, but you know, we gotta give props where they're due. Also, I just wanted to give another quick shout. Reordering shirts because we got a lot of odd sizes. Well, not odd sizes. I don't mean to. They're not odd. They're just ones that I don't have.
I'd like an extra large and a half.
Yeah. So I do have. I know there's some people waiting on shirts and stuff. So I'll be getting those out to you as soon as I can. Yeah, got to get the order in. I think that is it for this. Now, let's get on with what's going on in our music world this week. Starting out with Tony Baloney, Tone Bone.
Yes.
Tanya Bolonsky.
Yeah. So, I think last time we got together, did we talk about the Jaguar project that I was putting together? So it is... It's coming together. I'm still waiting on a couple of bits and pieces, but I did want to talk about the tremolo and bridge system that I'm using on this one.
Cool.
It's a company in Greece called Halon, and they basically make a real high-end stainless steel bridge and tremolo for Jaguars and Jazzmasters. I have to say I'm pretty impressed. I mean, compared to most off the rack kinds of Jag and Jazzmaster trims that you can buy, I mean, this thing is built like a tank. It's super smooth. I mean, you can just tell by the gauge of the metal. What's really cool about the base of this is this is what they call their patented one. Which is a little harder to get because it's got like some cutouts in it. So it's similar to like the Descendant trem system for those of you who are familiar with that.
I was going to mention that Descendant.
Yeah, it's very similar to that, except what it does is it drops the whole trem down a bit. So on the base of the trem, there are these cutouts for the strings so that they don't, obviously rub against things. But what's also cool about it is you can choose if you want to say just have your treble strings on the tremolo, and then you can string your bass strings
through the back,
in front of the tremolo. So in other words, they won't be affected by the tremolo.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna play around with this a little bit because I thought that was a super cool feature.
Yeah.
Because it's got maybe I won't like it, and maybe I just want all of the strings, all six strings, to do that. But I think it's really cool. But and what I like about the bridge that they're making is it's similar to the Mastery bridge in that it has 3 saddles, two strings per saddle, and it's again it's a really heavy gauge stainless steel, and this it's available in chrome plating, which is one of the things that always kind of bugged me about both the Mastery and the Descendant is that they're just kind of that standard stainless
like
brushed finish.
Yeah.
Although Mastery may have done some chrome ones, if I remember right, but they've done some other cool things. But if I'm trying to build a replica, Dave, because you probably hadn't heard what of my '66 Jag, and I was unable to obtain it or track down the guy I sold it to 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm putting something similar together. So it had it was a bound block neck.
That sounds interesting. Is that tremolo being stainless steel? Is it heavier than you would expect? does it add much weight to the guitar?
You know, I compared that. So the trem that was on this body was just like an import trem,
Yeah.
and it was marginally lighter, but I mean,
Not enough.
Not enough that I would say, oh my God, I'm going to have to get a 5-inch strap to wear.
I do like that Descendant. That's a good unit.
It's-
And Chris Swope, who designed it, did a good job of that. And he was in some patent infringement struggle with somebody. Hopefully not those guys, but
It might be because that's maybe why they're so
I don't want to
difficult.
say anything out of turn in that regard, but I
Yeah.
know there was a struggle there, and it seemed like somebody had swiped his idea.
Yeah.
But it could, once those things get out there, they get out there. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's it is interesting, and they make also a version of that trem that doesn't have the cuts in it. That's more of like a standard, but it's still an upgrade to a typical Jazz Master or Jag.
Yeah, they're all such an improvement, I think, unless you're just a real vintage purist and the originals can be made to sound okay, but as you said, I think the bridges make a big difference. Like, and Swope's got a good bridge too that goes with that. And there's a company in Germany. Do you know those guys? Kiss My Strings. They do a really good
I've seen
offset
that
bridge.
Well,
yeah, that's a nice one.
What's cool about this bridge is it's designed to, how normally a Jazz Master or Jag bridge rocks. This one, the studs that go down into the inserts basically don't allow it to move or don't allow it to move as much. I mean, that's something I always did on mine. I would wrap the legs with, shrink tubing and things like that, so it wouldn't go as crazy.
Yeah, I don't like them rocking much. People say that's part of how they work, but I think inevitably they don't go back in tune very well when they rock.
No, inevitably they stick at the worst
but
possible
if you've got
moment.
good saddles, saddles that the strings slip over. Yeah.
So,
definitely. That sounds cool.
So it's
nice work.
Yeah, it's a neat little thing, and we'll post some pictures when everything's finished with it. But
it's turned out to be pretty handsome.
Yeah, it's 3-tone burst, typical 66.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah,
nice.
so I'm happy with that.
Roasted neck.
Oh, roasted maple neck. Yeah, which mine didn't have.
It looks very syrupy.
Yeah,
colored.
Yeah, it's got
it's kind of nice.
Yeah, aged.
So I like syrupy.
Yes.
Now it was funny because he goes, hey, pick it up, check it out. I said, did you let the butcher play it first?
I have acid sweat. Okay.
So it's already aged. You're
well,
good there.
it's just
with beef tallow.
My necks tend to feel a little sticky.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Todd.
It's a bit disconcerting when you.
Well, it's still under construction.
Yeah.
I'll wipe it down for you
thank
before you play it.
Yes. And Dave, what's going on in your music world this week?
There's always, a lot of what I do is review gear, so there's always stuff coming and going. So that's kind of maybe not fair game in some ways, but let's see. I've been changing. Had some nice high-end guitars in from a friend who wanted me to just play them and enjoy them for a while, but also wanted me to swap some pickups out for him. One was a Johann Gustafsson. Do you know his guitars? The Bluesmaster S.
Yeah,
which
I've
is
seen those.
the semi-hollow version of that Bluesmaster, which started off as kind of an alternative Les Paul, but it's its own shape and everything. So we changed his pickups from throwbacks to Ron Ellis LRP humbuckers, which are great. Throwbacks are great too, but I've always had a thing for LRPs myself, and he got into his head. He liked to have them in there, so I put those in there, and those sound great. And it's been a week of changing cool reproduction PF pickups, because then he also brought in a Collings I-35 LC vintage. And I don't do the tech stuff for a living. It's just because I can do the stuff. So I said, hey, I'll do it for you. Don't take it somewhere else. And put some, what are the other ones? Holmes, what's his name? Tom Holmes pickups those.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those are fantastic too. So it's been fun playing with those and, putting the Primo PAF style pickups into those. That's been pretty cool. Another thing is another reminder of, you know how you go on so many guitar forums and somebody will ask a question about a smaller amp and will it hang with the drummer? You know, I'm thinking about this 10 watt or 12 watt amp and it would be perfect for most of my situations, but will it overpower the drummer? And I had a reminder of that, the fact that unless you're playing metal or something really heavy, but my band is just kind of roots rock, amped up Americana stuff. You know, definitely rock and roll though.
Yeah.
And we played an outdoor show last weekend, you know, in a pretty big open space, you know, probably 500 people, you know, a real stage with sound and everything. And I brought my 10 watt car Super B 112 combo, and I had started at about 10 o'clock, and the sound guy said that's too loud, so I put it down to about 9:30. You know, with drums behind me and everything, and it was plenty loud, and it was on a stand aiming at my head, and I halfway through was thinking, I wish this wasn't so loud because I can't hear myself sing. So that was kind of, and even outdoors, usually the sound disappears, but that was another reminder that, yeah, these amps can pretty much hang with drummers, you know.
Yeah.
And that's another. It's not always the occasion. I guess it depends on the drummer and the amp on the day, you know. But so much of the times it's this macho argument where, well, I'm going to bring my 412 and my 100 watt. I'm going to crank it up and screw the sound guy, and you know, screw the people who walk out the back door when it's all too loud and all that stuff, you know. And we'd all love to do that, but this was kind of proof again that the little amp worked pretty darn good, you know.
Yeah,
it's nice.
Yeah, we had Carr on not too long ago. Actually, what a nice guy that guy is.
He is a super nice guy, and he knows his stuff. Yeah, I've worked with him and spoken to him a lot, and he's yeah, I like that he's, you know, a lot of his amps are roughly based on something out there, but always in a very original way. And that's the same with this one, as you may or may not know, was his approach to make a lower wattage super reverb, you know, that would have that sound, but at a size that people can actually turn up to the sweet spot here and there. You know, I think he did a great job of it.
Yeah, we had the Skylark Special. He sent that out to us.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, that's a great amp. Yeah, I got to review that for one of the magazines. And
very function. It's like a utility amp.
It is. Yeah, a lot of people could get a lot of things done with that. In the same way as I'm sure a lot of people said this, you know, as kind of Princeton reverb camp, but a little more versatile. You know, some voicing switches and stuff. Yeah, he does good work.
I had a question that came to my mind, not necessarily related to the week or anything like that, but I'm curious, what strings are you beholden to, like this is my string and never shall I switch, or do you have all kinds of different strings? Or?
Me, you know, I mean, I tend to play 10 to 46 gauge strings, and I like pure nickel wound. If a guitar shows up, you know, if it's a test piece, a review guitar, whatever, it doesn't matter. Whatever they put on it, you know, I'm not going to fuss. But if it's one that I want to own or I want to play for a session or something, if it doesn't have those, or it's got like nickel plated or whatever, I tend to not like those a whole lot. You know, they'll be all right for a while, but if I'm going to keep a guitar, I always put the pure nickel wound. And I tend to use Ernie balls, you know, and the Fender pure nickel wound are pretty good too, because they're relatively affordable if you're going to change them a lot. You know, you sort of hate to spend $12 on a set of strings and change them in a few weeks if you're playing it a lot or whatever. And a lot of people swear by, I mean, I used to like Pyramids a lot, and a couple other brands, which are perfectly respectable, but some of those high-end brands, for a while, I got multi-pack sets, and I was getting dead D strings, like the wines were hanging on there. Oh. Yeah, and they sent a bunch of new D strings, in fact, in the one case with the Pyramids. Not to talk any brand down, because people like them a lot, but it kind of surprised me. And then it happened a few years later with another well-known kind of high-end pure nickel string maker that I won't mention. It was like, okay, this is kind of a thing. And I'm putting them on properly. You know, you have to bend the end an inch, you know, a right angle or something before you cut the strings so they don't slip off and all that stuff. So it wasn't a matter of user error. But anyway, yeah, so nothing super high-end. Just, you know, Ernie balls are pretty good. GHS is pretty good. Fender pure nickels are pretty good.
Yeah. You mentioned the dead string thing. I bought a bass a couple of years ago, and I went to there was a Sam Ash pretty close to my house, and I went in there and bought some bass strings. I got the Ernie Ball. I'm trying to remember which. I think it was an orange packet. It's not bass strings you don't buy all the time, so
Yeah.
and I brought them home and I strung it up. I'm like, what's wrong? Every single one of those strings was literally dead.
Really?
Oh, jeez.
And
Wow.
I said, this can't. I got to be doing something wrong. And I look. I'm like, I'm not. And I brought it in. I said, I don't know how to say this, but this entire pack of strings is dead. And he looked at me like, okay, so now I got to deal with this moron for a while.
Yeah,
'Cause,
sure. That doesn't
when does
happen,
that
yeah.
ever happen? And the bass
Yeah.
strings too. And they're like $40.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't just say, well, I'll just throw on another set. Don't worry about it, Sam Ash.
Yeah.
And I showed it, and he's like, you just bought these? And I was like, yeah, here's the receipt. And he's like, oh
Wow.
my gosh, I've never seen this. So I was like, okay, good. I felt
Yeah.
like an idiot. So,
Yeah. It'll happen, and it drove me crazy the first time I was a few years ago, and I was experiencing that dead D string thing. You know, I thought there was something wrong with the pickup pole. I kept adjusting things, or I thought the on this particular, I think it was a Les Paul, like an R9 or something. And, I thought the bridge saddle was screwed up, or there was something wrong. I thought this, the nut something was going on.
Yeah.
So I changed a whole new set, and they were dead in that set too, and it finally the light went on.
Yeah. While I have your attention, it just dawned on me. It's like we've been talking about your books. We're doing that. I would love to hear your perspective, just as a reviewer from the years you've been doing that. So I'd love for you to come back on again when you're in between books. And talk about that. I think that would be fascinating to hear your perspective on things and
Well, we can
industry
talk
and all
about that a little bit today.
if we have time.
Oh, yeah.
But,
see where you get. But sure, that'd be fun sometime. And especially if there were some.
Thanks for trying to get rid of
notes
a whole
of what
episode,
to-
Tony. Jiminy Christmas.
Yeah,
Come
you had
on.
it in the can almost. You were there.
I know. I was walking out the door.
Man.
Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah.
Todd.
Yeah.
Todd, what about you? What's going on in your musical world this week?
This was very difficult to narrow down because I've had a lot going on in my music world this week. And I think I'll share some of that when we have Joe on. 'Cause I just got back from the UK from the show of my life, for sure.
Can Sally wait?
Yes. No, Sally can't. No, not anymore.
No.
It was the final show at Wembley for Oasis, but more importantly, I spent a week with one of my newest, bestest friends for life, and there's so much. I'm not gonna go into that. We're gonna have a whole thing where we're gonna be talking about all that.
That's gonna be a great
because not just a show. We did a whole bunch of guitar stuff.
Yeah.
But what landed on my doorstep yesterday?
What?
Well, earlier than yesterday, but I only opened it yesterday because I just got back. Copper Sound sent me a whole new box of our flashlights, our pedal board flashlights.
Yes.
That they make up for us that we give to our brand Poobahs.
Yeah.
But within that box was a new goodie, and this is going to be coming out. I think November 7th. That's what he said. So he's going to be on the show talking about that. But I got to play with said pedal that I can't really talk about yet. He asked me not to.
Okay.
And so I had some good times with that.
Nice.
And I think everybody's going to be pretty happy with how this thing turned out. I know that's not much of a. It's not very fair, but that's what I got.
That's okay. You're tired. You're jet lagged.
I still am.
Exciting.
Yes. So and I still have some more of these double salted licorices.
Oh dear God! Throw those things away.
And I brought Tony some of my homemade fermented pickles.
Those were good. You can keep bringing those.
Yes, all the stinky foods.
And Todd also brought me back an Oasis T-shirt. So
That's true.
That's great.
There you go.
And Joe put together a pedal for me, but we'll talk more about that when Joe's on.
So much stuff. Okay, we are going to now determine if we if we were talking about more of these pedals at length,
Yeah.
and assuming that we put them all together,
Yeah.
we would also assume that we would need to use quite a few patch cables.
Yes.
And if we were to use quite a few patch cables, we would most certainly be using the Tour Gear Designs patch cables.
Oh, I would think
Yes.
so.
And in the S and the C shape, because we would need both of those.
Obviously.
And probably a few different lengths too, to connect from, the top row to the bottom row on the board. Oh, you can't go wrong. Go to tourgeardesigns.com, get a whole bunch of these stuff it in your cart, stuff it full. Then hit purchase. Don't worry, you're going to get your code. Just hang on. You got to hit purchase. Then the code comes up, the code box. You're going to put in the guitar knobs, all one word. You're going to save 15%.
15%.
Until they tell me it's not, that's what it is.
Yes.
So
That's great.
get on down there and get yourself some of these patch cables. We're going to have these patch cables on the board next week for the Pedals and Pints,
Oh, that's right.
which is going to be awesome.
Nice little
And,
show here.
Yeah, so thank you to Tour Gear for sponsoring our Four on the Floor.
Let me get a little bit of this.
1, 2, 3. Four on the floor. All right, Dave Hunter, author extraordinaire. What is your four on the floor?
Thorpe Fat General compressor.
Thorpe Fat General.
Yeah, that's the first one.
Yes.
Did you want me to keep going?
No,
No,
let's
one
talk
at a
about
time.
that.
That's
One
what.
at a time.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
get. Yeah, so that's my first of my four on the floor. Yeah, and I never used to be a compressor guy much, but I've kind of just for the past 10 years or so really been into compressors and just having one as an always on at the front of the chain,
Mhm.
and kind of cycled around to liking this one just from trying several, and just it's the one I have at the moment. But it is good. It's it does what you want a compressor to do while being somewhat transparent, not being too much of that juicy, spongy thing,
Mhm.
and it just sounds good. It's solid. It's well built. It's not as noisy as some of them, although some compressors by nature, they, suck in noise a little bit. So that's the way it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that pedal a lot, and they're good quality stuff.
I heard a lot about Thorpe when I was overseas, and that is a brand that the people over there have a lot of affinity for.
Yeah, it seems like it. And aren't they designed, I think, by Dan Coggins, I think.
You are correct.
Yes, good. And he knows his stuff, and I've known him for years, since even before moving back here. We moved back here from London in 2004, and it's gotten to know him just before that, when I was writing the pedals book, which is just before moving back. And yeah, he's a talented guy. He knows his stuff, and he's come up with some of the most desirable, now somewhat out of production pedals. Maybe of all time, of the modern era at least, and I don't know if he's designing all the Thorpe effects stuff, but I know this one sounds good, and I've tried their Peacekeeper Overdrive, which sounds good. It's not one of my four on the floor, but it's a very good pedal, and yeah, they're doing some pretty creative stuff.
Indeed. Okay, now let's see number two.
And these are in order.
I'm so sorry. Before you do that, you said you're playing your music is kind of Americana's. Enlighten everybody the music that you play, your band.
Yeah, it is. I've come back around to this band. I was playing kind of indie and alt rock for a good few years, but I had a band several years ago from about 2005 to 2015 called the Molenes, spelled Molenes. And we did pretty well in the Northeast, just with album releases and shows and stuff. And so I decided I wanted to play that kind of stuff again. And the way to fast track that was I wasn't able to get those guys together again. But three other great guys joined me in this, and we're playing a lot of the music from that band, which you can find on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever. So we're playing those songs and plenty of new songs, and just starting to record what will be our first album. But it was a kind of a nice way of getting a brand new band up and running quickly, because we had whole set's worth of, several sets worth of original material to pick from. But it's kind of some of it's kind of hillbilly twang, swampy rock. It's not really country, but it might verge on alt country or amped up Americana.
Yeah, kind of like I'd say like Bakersfield, amped up Bakersfield, California stuff.
A little bit in that department, yeah.
Yeah.
It goes from being that kind of thing to being a little swampy. I mean, it might verge on rockabilly, it might be a little honky tonk. Some people, say it's a little bit like Sun Volt or Uncle Tupelo or something, but it's in that camp.
Yeah.
That's the stuff. Yeah,
With a little bit of petty thrown in there.
maybe a little.
I feel like, or maybe Mudcrutch more like.
Maybe so. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Well, I just wanted to establish that so we didn't gloss over it.
Well, thank you.
And we were listening to it before we started the show.
Yes.
So go get over to Spotify and check it out. It's good driving music, I think.
A lot of it is about driving. Yeah, driving and or drinking, and sometimes both. So, not to be advised, but in fact, some of the songs we decided we shouldn't release were about both. But and the ill-advisedness thereof. But you don't want to be misunderstood.
Yeah.
What you want to do is bring back the trucker songs, the truck driving songs. Let's bring those back from the
Like Eastbound and
1970s.
Down?
Yeah, you got Eastbound and Down, and it looks like we got us a convoy.
Yeah, we got a great big convoy.
Bring it on back.
Do you know Dale Watkins? I think is his name, or is it Watson? Dale. He's a country Telecaster picker.
Oh yeah, Dale Guitar Watson, I think.
Aren't they all named Dale?
Yeah, he's not called Dale Guitar Watson. He's just called Dale Watson, and he's kind of country meets rockabilly. But this is a good few years ago. We did a whole album, in recent history at least, of trucking songs. It's a great album. And they're quality stuff.
Tony, you nailed that one.
Yeah, there you go. Let's do it.
See, he's on to it. Yeah, he's on to you.
Okay, then let's just do CB radio ones.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, Dale Watson, fantastic. Great voice. One of those deep country voices.
Nice.
All right. Let's see what we got for number 2.
Number 2, and these are my 4 on the floor now, my must-have pedals, because they're on my board now, plus a 5th, and that's all there is. So number 2, and they're in order. So it's the number 2 is the Wampler Tumnus Deluxe.
Yep.
Which somehow I always thought it was a good pedal. It never really suited my rig. I've had it since it came out, and it just slots into this now that it's a rootsy thing into a somewhat Fendery voiced amp, a kind of mid 60s voiced amp. It does what the Klon thing has always done, with a little bit more facility and maybe a little bit more versatility, and you can just see why they're popular pedals.
How come it didn't fit your board in the past?
Before restarting up this kind of music for a good sort of 6 or 7 years, I was playing more loud, more martially kind of rock, alternative or indie rock, you might call it, but
like Crocus.
Yeah, no, but on the crunched up side of things, yeah, more like I don't know who I would name check. Even it was original stuff. Might like in the vein of the Hold Steady, if you know them, or that kind of sound,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't seem like the martially. I was mostly playing a Friedman small box or sometimes a mini Dirty Shirley in smaller places, and but it was a martially sound. And for some reason, it didn't. It would have been fine, but it didn't seem like I needed it for that sound. It just didn't need to be there.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay. Well, I see we're learning even that the onion continues to be peeled.
Who knows? Yeah.
How about number 3?
Number 3 is, and this is a modern classic, at least, an Analog Man Prince of Tone pedal.
Yes.
And that's fairly new to me, and I played them before, or played other people's before, or whatever. And it's just another really versatile, sweet sounding overdrive that's kind of hard to beat in some situations. So that's great.
Sort of like a mid drive.
A little more, kind of a mid gain overdrive and a pretty juicy, mid rangey sort of a sound too.
Now, what's number 4? We're going to give you the 5th one, by the way.
4 is, it's probably another modern classic, actually, a full-tone Super Trim, the original wide one with 3-foot switches. And I don't need 3-foot switches, I just need on and off, but it's just a really good sounding pedal.
I have one of those, and Todd absolutely hates it.
Now, wait a minute. Now, hang on a second. I think it sounds very good.
It's great.
It does like one thing.
It does.
And it does it very awkwardly.
Awkwardly?
Well, because
of all the
form
switches.
Factor.
Yeah,
It's
that is true. Yeah, you don't need the the high speed and and the heavy or light, whatever the one is for the choppier, or you sort of don't need those two things, especially if you just use some tremolo now and then, and you can bend over, and those switches don't really do anything that you're likely to get any use out of, because you usually don't want that dramatic a change, I would say.
Yeah. Well, and also I'm playing a little bit more aggressively, and I've got my feet are a little bigger than, like, I should be like 6'4". I'll just say that. But I'm not.
You're only 4'9".
Yeah.
You're short for your feet.
I'm an L. And so it makes it very, like, I'm going to step on things. I mean, I made a product for the Line 6 HX Stomp because of that. So
yeah,
I
appreciate what you're saying, and that is something that I find a constant struggle, especially if you're singing and playing, and you're playing leads, and it comes to the solo, and you've got to do quick changes of sounds and things like that, and you're on the mic, and you can't really look down all the time. It is a genuine struggle sometimes, trying to hit the right button at the right time.
Yeah. Oh, well, especially with the giant knobs. That's
that's true. There's a lot in the way. Yeah. And that also irks me a little bit. There's some great pedals made, but that are even a standard pedal size with 2-foot switches on them, or they have a knob or a mini toggle down low near the foot switches. I don't know how anybody cannot step on those, and especially if you're trying to sing and do something or do something just on a dark stage and hit the right button.
Unless
and not
you have
smack
Chelsea
something.
boots, this is not the way to do it, everybody.
Yeah. Have you tried?
That's exactly right.
The I guess they're new releases or newer releases.
Super Trim 2?
The 2 or the Junior?
I have not. It's the 2. There's a stereo one. I don't know if that's the 2. That's supposed to sound pretty good.
Yeah, that's the stereo one. The Junior, I mean, it's just in a smaller box, really.
I've heard people that the Junior's not quite the same circuit, and they're not. Some people said they're not as happy with that, but I don't want to talk anything down that I don't have direct experience with.
I was just kind of curious because I'm happy with mine. So I've never really.
They sound great, and if you just reach for them, I'm looking behind me, but it's not there. It's in a different room. But if you just reach for that one on and off button, you're usually okay,
Yeah.
And they're a great tone filter. Have you ever tried yours on, but with the depth and speed knobs all the way down, so you're not getting any tremolo through? But they juice up your tone just like that. It's kind of amazing how much sweeter it sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does sound very nice. I do appreciate that. How about our bonus? Since you're
a 5-speed.
You came back. Every time you get back, you get one more pedal. So
yeah, exactly. And I'll be quick with this. This is just because it's the delay, and I'm not a huge delay guy, but just a little bit on there for some songs is nice. And it's an old Maxon AD 999. Bucket Brigade delay, and they just sound great. They do the job, and a lot of those old pedals have their quirks and so forth. But set it to a couple of basic settings, nothing extreme, and it works.
Yes,
yeah.
I like delay in that same manner. I prefer plate at a really low mix. It just gives a little extra something.
Yeah, I'm not much of a reverb guy either, and occasionally I'll have an amp with reverb, and I'll use a little bit, or I'll just reach back and turn it up for a song that's particularly moody or whatever. But I don't feel I need reverb live a whole lot, because you get the room, and if there's a little bit of delay, if you want some atmosphere, that usually does it. If you're not, for me at least, if I'm not, and you hear some bands that sound great, but guys just decide they've got the reverb and they're going to soak everything in it, and that really swamps everything.
I agree.
Unless it's an intentional atmospheric texturalist kind of thing, you know.
Or if you're in a surf band.
Yeah, and
Totally.
I should have set that up better. I instead of a delay, I actually use a reverb in that manner, so it's not just it's just a little, not a full blown slap back, but just
But you can get you definitely can get that kind of sound out of the right plate. Yeah, definitely. So that's my 4+1.
Nice.
Excellent. Well, speaking of +1, we have a new Telecaster book here to accompany the previous Telecaster book here. Tony's going to dive all into that.
That's what I was going to say. Let's talk about what this new book...
I stole your thunder.
You stole my thunder.
I'm so sorry.
But that's okay. I'm used to it. Let's talk about what this new book isn't. It is not just a repackaging of the Fender Telecaster, the life and times of the electric guitar that changed the world by some guy named Dave Hunter.
You better believe
from
it.
2012. No, it's not.
You will find some of the same story in there because how will you not? You know, and this is it's as you can imagine, it's kind of a poison chalice. Writing anything about something like this, it's been written about before.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? But I won't interrupt you. You go ahead.
Well, what I was going to get at is you need to have both of these books because here's what I like about the first book. It's got incredible photography, lots of juicy pictures of guitars. But I would say more than half of the book it talks about the players that use guitars and has in-depth profiles. Now, there's some of that in the new book.
I love the Clash section.
Yeah, it's all good. But here's what I've got a lot of books in my collection.
Yeah. Tony actually, to his credit, really got me into sourcing out all these books and getting familiar and saying let's get the authors on our show.
Yeah.
Good for you, Tony.
Yeah, that's it's got to be done because this
all in a day's work.
There's great stuff. Now, this book, I was almost surprised, if not shocked, that there were some photographs in there that I had not seen before.
That's hard to do. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I'll just, for example, there was a '56 San Marino blue Tele with a Bigsby that has the matching headstock, and the back of the neck and the back of the headstock is also painted in San Marino blue.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Back of the neck?
Yeah, and this is in 1956.
Wow.
I've never seen that before. So that's
a pretty rare
custom
one.
shop.
Yeah, there are a few of those that were that you wouldn't have known existed, and they largely are one-offs, but there were a handful with the back of the neck painted and matching headstocks. And and I guess it was easy enough. Some customers said, you know what, I want you to paint the whole thing, and so they could do that.
Easy peasy. It's off. It's not mounted on the body. I'll paint it up for you. The other one was the '66 Tele thin line prototype with Wildwood. And that one has 2 F holes in it. I had not seen that one before. So like a
maybe the luthier had a stutter.
No, I think it was intentional. It was a prototype. And there's also some really cool early photos of our newest friend John Page. From the custom shop when he was a mere lad.
He was just on the show a little while ago.
Oh, nice. Yeah, John's a great guy, and I've spoken to him off and on over the years, and at some length for some of these books, and he's one of the few, the people from the early era of Fender aren't around to talk to anymore, but he's someone from another later great era of Fender when they launched the custom shop and all that stuff, and some great stuff that he was doing even before that. And, he's a great source of knowledge from those years.
Yeah, totally.
He's working with our good friend Chase Gullett from Gullett Guitars, and they're basically handling all the production for his production line. So,
cool. Nice.
We
That's
got
good.
to hang out for a while, and
Nice.
it was really nice. Anyways,
so
yes.
Point being,
definitely
get this new one. It comes in a nice slip case. This is, I think, as with most of the books that you write, they're invaluable resources.
It's incredible
for the stories behind these things. I mean, if you didn't tell the stories, they would probably be long lost. I mean, there's
I'm
other
blushing
authors,
now,
but
thank
I
you.
mean, the stuff that you do and the way that you do it,
I agree.
top notch.
Absolutely. And
That's really kind of you to say. Thank you. It means a lot, genuinely.
because we're talking about the Telecaster, which has been around for so long.
75 years, I'm told.
75 years, or thereabouts.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yes. And it is something that we're so familiar with that on the outset, you may like, okay, what am I going to get out of this? Every single one of those things, it feels like something new.
Yeah.
It feels like something different. It feels like this is a unique aspect of things. You're not just seeing the same things that we've seen over and over again. And that's something that I really appreciate about it.
Well, thanks. That's definitely the challenge. And I know, I don't read the reviews. There will be reviews out there that say, "Oh, this is all the same thing again," and he's even written a book himself about the same thing, and blah blah. And inevitably, obviously, there's, from a certain perspective, there are a lot of similarities. And what can you do? Leo Fender's story of growing up and his early life and how he founded the company and what he did before that and how he got his feet on the ground as a manufacturer. There's not a whole lot new to say to that, but what I like trying to do and what is part of the challenge and part of the fun is trying to put that into some perspective and just see how that happened in its era and how it suited the times and how industry and culture came together to feed off each other and to create this thing that then further fed each other, and how the music influenced how he made things and how what he made then influenced the music. And it was just this kind of loop of creative influence,
Well, you even do a little bit of prehistory to get us kind of up to speed to the beginning of the Telecaster, which I also really appreciated.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this.
Yes, Tony.
We've talked about this often on the show. How do you think Leo got it so right the first time out the gate? I mean, well, we'll skip the snakehead, but I mean, essentially from 1950 on, the Telecaster really hasn't changed. I mean, there's been variations thereof, but the basic Telecaster hasn't changed much.
Yeah, and you could pick one up from then. And you're going to get people who write in, or they'll write to me, or they'll write to you guys and say, it's not the 75th anniversary of the Telecaster because it was the Broadcaster for a year and a half.
Correct.
So we'll accept that, but the guitar that became the Telecaster essentially was the Telecaster, et cetera. But, and you could pick one up from 1950 once they at least put the truss rods in there, or one that didn't have one if the neck didn't bow, and go out and gig it tonight, and it would be a great guitar, and it would suit the music, which is amazing, right? Music being played 75 years later. Yeah. And it would probably sound fantastic if it was kept in shape. And I mean, you could say some of it was luck. For one thing, he was the first guy probably to have that genius idea of not trying to do a finely crafted one-off custom made, like Bigsby's solid guitar, which certainly came a few years before. And some other people had made them. Rickenbacker had made something that was kind of awkward, but something that was just really functional, and the whole bolt together thing, which is partly what the guitar industry laughed at, but that whole bolt on neck and the simple parts and the simple hardware were genius, and it just, maybe he got lucky in the fact that the simple, that's, a chunk of ash, which wasn't an instrument wood, wasn't considered a tone wood or anything, and a maple neck, and they just happened to sound great. And he'd already had his sound from the steel guitar, obviously, what we call the lap steel, and was or a console steel. And he identified that sound, and he knew the sound worked because those were flying off the shelves for Western swing and country artists, right? The steel players were the guys at the front of the stage because the electric guitarists couldn't play that loud and they were getting feedback and all that stuff. So, he just translated that sound to a form that you could play. They managed to carve some necks that felt very playable, and were considered desirable, and that was it. But, a good 4 or 5 years or more before bringing the Telecaster out, he had already identified the sound, and before the Telecaster came along, he'd already made the pickup that was making that sound and mounting it in a chunk of wood for steel players,
Right.
So I guess he sort of hit the ground running. But it is kind of astounding, and not being a guitarist himself and not being a trained luthier or instrument maker, I don't think you can ever answer that question of how he got it so right, because it's like throwing all these pieces up in the air and they come down kind of perfectly,
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing to me.
It is.
Yeah.
When did you get your first Telecaster?
I got the first Telecaster I ever owned. I got about it wasn't until I was about 30 years old, and that was about 30 years ago, or a little over maybe. And I'd always loved Telecasters and admired them, and always wanted one. But I was, like a lot of guys playing kind of rockier guitars, and I was playing kind of indie alt rock at that time in London, and playing SGs and other things. And I got a PRS when that was the hot new thing and all that stuff. And had a Yamaha SG 2000 because that was the hot new thing for a while. And just in the classified ad, somebody was advertising a Telecaster, and he said, I think it's an old one because it's got this pencil date on the neck. And it turned out it was an old one that had been badly refinished. It was a 57 Esquire actually, but it had been teleized. And that was about 1993 or so. And it was, it had almost no original parts other than the neck and a few other, one of the knobs and the control plate, and the tone cap was, a few bits and pieces, the pots and stuff, and the pickup had to be rewound soon after. But that was my first one. But I'd always loved them, and I was always drawn to them strangely for a young, listening to the things that younger guys were usually listening to in those days, if you're kind of into the more rock and alternative scene and punk and stuff. For some reason, I always just thought the Telecaster was just a really beautiful piece of design, and always wanted one, but it took a while to get one.
Yeah.
Well, in that era, I'm thinking back to about 30 years ago, when that would have been happening. The Telecaster was still so synonymous with Keith Richards and Bruce Springsteen, and even Petty, Petty's band for a bit.
Yeah, that's
Mike
true.
Campbell,
Yeah, that's true. Was it?
Didn't
Or
really
country?
translate to like modern kind of rock.
No, except you did have, like you say, you had one in the Clash, and you had
Yes.
Black Francis, and then Frank Black playing a newer version of the Tele with the Pixies and stuff. Yeah, there were some people, but it's the kind of thing like the punk guys who get, you could get not a pre-CBS Tele, but you could get an older used Tele for, you guys probably remember $250, $300 or whatever. And it'd be a real American made, and even a late 60s one maybe, or early 70s, but it wasn't, unless you just stumbled on it from some guy who didn't know what he had. It wasn't pre-CBS,
Well, and that era of punk had even already passed by, so that it was
true.
It was a very, everything seemed to be trying to make everything was all new. Everything felt new around that time.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's just odd because I absolutely remember that. That space and time. Also, that was right about when the resurgence of the Les Paul was like in full swing with Slash and all that stuff. So
yeah, that's true. And it's funny to think now, that there was that time before Slash when the Les Paul was kind of lost in the woods too. It was not the most desirable guitar, and if people got them in the 70s or the late 70s or early 80s, they're put into Marzios in them and do all this stuff to try to make them hotter and more rock, and they were kind of seen as a little bit frumpy, because the whole Clapton and Kossoff era had kind of passed in that regard.
Yeah, everybody was doing Strats and stuff.
Yeah, super Strats with humbuckers or pointy guitars or something modern, like the SG 2000. I got the Yamaha SG 2000 because it was like the new Les Paul beater, and I played one and it was a lot better made than the new Gibsons at the time, and I thought, well, okay, that must be something to it.
Yeah. It's just so weird how we get swept up into what we think goes with certain styles of playing and
Totally, and how unnecessary that line of thinking is, right? Really, when you get
really
down
kinda
to
is,
it.
yeah.
And the Telecaster is a perfect example of that because people have used it for literally every kind of amplified guitar music you can make, and some of the most virtuosic players still playing it,
Yeah.
the Roy Buchanans and and now Julian Lage and people like that, or Neil Campolongo and Jim Campolongo rather, and some of the finest players out there, and they're
Jim
turning
Root from
this.
Slipknot. I mean, that's a weird
sure.
one. I remember the first time I was like,
Yeah.
he plays a telly?
Yeah,
How about John
Five,
Five?
right?
John
yeah.
Five, yeah.
John Five.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Secretly, he's a country player.
Well, that's
He
true.
is, though. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, these people, turning this kind of basic slab of a guitar that in some cases you almost have to wrestle with. It doesn't, in its original form, doesn't always intonate all that perfectly and all sorts of things,
Yeah.
But something about it just makes you want to engage with it, I guess.
Yep, I completely understand that. Now, do you have a favorite of all the Telecasters you've reviewed, of all the things that you've written about? Is there one that if you said, if I could pluck this from the page and have it, well, do you know what that would be?
Yeah, it would be a Blackguard, probably a 53 Blackguard Telecaster. That seems to be a great year where so many of them just sounded fantastic and felt great. And I've played a couple of those. I've never owned a 53 or any original Blackguard. I owned that 57 for a while, and now I've got a 58, which is also an Esquire, but it's been teleized, and it's a refin. I only buy refins if it was going to be vintage like that, just to make it. If you want to play it, I don't need to collect it. I want something I can afford, or at least remotely afford. And I do like this 58 a lot, but I think it would be like that, a 53 Blackguard in original shape. And those are just unobtainium now, sadly.
Yeah. I have a couple scattered questions for you, and I know Tony has some stuff. I would love to know, this being your second book, and the first one is
Second Telecaster book.
Well, yeah, sorry. You've got a lot of books under your belt. The second Telecaster book, I want to know, A, what you found daunting about doing this again.
Yeah.
And B, what are maybe a couple things or one thing that you stumbled on and you're like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. I didn't know this, or was there something like that?
Yeah, there probably were some things like that. What was daunting was kind of, as I covered before, trying to, I thought long and hard about actually doing this, when the offer came along from Fender and this publisher Quarto, and this imprint is Motor Books under Quarto Books, because I thought, I don't want to be the guy who just writes about everything twice, writes all the anniversary books, and it's kind of, and I inevitably can't help but kind of copy myself. And if I want to quote anybody who was there in the early days, I've got to, and I do thank them in the acknowledgments. I quote, great authors have gone before, like Tony Bacon or, Tom Wheeler and all these people. That was daunting. I think just knowing that in some regards, it's a poison chalice. You can't go into this and do something that's totally original, because how can you? So maybe that's what made it kind of fun ultimately, is the challenge of trying to make it fresh and have a different approach. And part of that challenge also, of course, is, trying to find the right balance for the reader, because you'll get people who will buy this and they're hoping it's going to tell them how the pickguard screws changed between 1953 and 1953 and a half or whatever. And,
I can tell you that.
all those things. And because I've seen reviews like that before, like, I thought this was going to help me identify my such and such, and it didn't, with some other non-Fender book. I forget, I think it was a Les Paul book. I wanted to know more about PFs and what they're wound with and stuff. And, you can't please everybody all the time, obviously. And this is not that book. I think, as you'll find, having seen it, there are a lot of details and there's a lot of nitty gritty, but it's more the story of the history of the Telecaster coming about and the influence it's had over the years and how it's changed over 75 years, right?
Yeah.
So you'll get that on one side, but you want to put in a lot of those details because I enjoy that stuff myself and I'm fascinated by them. But you can't put in too many of those details for people who want the 30,000 foot view.
Right.
So that's probably the daunting part, and I'm hoping I pitched it somewhere in between that gives a little bit of everything for everybody. And the point is also the books either side of that exist, and you don't want to just try to redo them. You've got Nacho Banez's great Blackguard book,
Yep.
and Duchessois before that, and why try to reinvent the wheel, and let's do this, which is a celebration of the anniversary.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And was there anything that, as far as like, wow, I didn't think I was going to discover this?
I think there were a lot of little things of those. Some of them I probably can't pull out now. One of them was, you talked about the custom color guitar. In some of the photos we were finding, the guitars with the custom, but factory custom job, paint jobs on the back of the neck and the headstock. And there were a few of those. There's one in all white. I don't even know if it was Olympic white. It might have had another color name. It might be wrong. There was some of the interesting stuff of just finding pictures about the setting from the period, early shots of Fullerton and Orange County and what it was like, just kind of revisiting what it was really like in those days when it was really just a small town and a lot of orange groves and farms and things like that. Mm-hmm. I think, not any breathtaking discoveries. There were some, I just can't remember them all, mm-hmm. But just that, putting yourself into the time and the element and kind of really having it hit me that, this was a different world at the time.
How long does it take once you hang up the phone and say, okay, I guess I'm doing a book?
Yeah. Well, it depends. And there are a lot of pictures in this book. There aren't as many words as there have been in some. You wouldn't think that because there are plenty of words in there, right? Mm. But this might have been 6 to 8 months, but that's not a full-time 40-hour a week because I'm still doing other stuff along the time. Obviously they're planning their production out, and by the time you agree you're going to do it, you start doing it and you budget your time and you go at it, Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, I've in years past when there was more of a market for books, and that's declining, obviously, sadly, along with so many other things, right?
Yeah.
I might have written a book in 4 or 5 months and done a couple a year for a stretch of a few years that were pretty busy. But this probably had 6 or 8 months to get it together, and then I put in a little more help sourcing photos than I might have anticipated, just because they needed it somewhat last minute. Some things fell through and they said, hey, can you put a few days into this? So I did that, which is fun also if you've mm-hmm. got the time, mm-hmm. chasing things up and trying to find photos that you haven't seen before. So that was about the load.
So your role in this, because I think I'm just trying to give a little bit of light to this, because typically if we pick up a book, a novel, and it says by so-and-so, and that's everything they did is there.
Yeah.
And your name's on this book. Are you creating like the entire, I'm assuming you create the entire outline, then start filling it in, and are you responsible for coming up with most of those pictures, or is there
I'm responsible for the outline and the chapters and how it's going to run and what everything that's going to be in it, and obviously Dennis Pernew at Cordo Books was my editor, and we've worked together on a few other things, and he's a great guy. He's done work at Vintage Guitar Mag and other things in the past, and so a lot of stuff was very much in cooperation. I could run up here's a proposed chapter list and a couple sentences on what each chapter will cover and send that off to him. And he'll say, yeah, that looks great. Or how about we do less of this or more of that? But it's, mm-hmm. Very casual back and forth. And then everything written is mine. And there is some understanding that I'll help with photos and I would want it that way because it's a pretty specialized subject, right? Sure. So you want to have,
which you're an expert in.
Yeah, well, to some extent at least, or, at least I can do the right research to find out the right things and understand what is correct and not correct in the process, And like, early on, it's happened in the past where there might have been a suggestion just for example, suggestion for a cover illustration that was kind of a modern era Telecaster with hardware in a format that's not very appealing, but say, for example, an art editor hired to put that together might say, here's a Telecaster. This is a pretty one. Let's put it on the cover. And they send it along and you say, oh, not that, because the real tele lovers are going to say that's the last Telecaster I want to see on the cover of a book like this, Let's do some vintage stuff or some clever art and let's do whatever. So then, a lot of it was down to me finding photos and a lot of, in recent years, a lot of vintage amp dealers. Now that a lot of people take high quality photos for themselves, in the digital camera era, and a lot of vintage dealers take excellent photos because they want to market these guitars well. So plenty of these people have stepped up and helped out and become, very friendly and really helpful contributors in that regard, which is nice too, because it means, I'd rather see an old Telecaster in its beat up tweed case in an interesting setting and maybe with some case candy strewn around than hanging on a white screen, in a flat sort of setting. So we managed to get a lot of that, or stuff leaning against old amps, or So there's it's not. I guess as a journalist, and an editor in the past, I've always worked with images to some extent, but I've never been a designer or a photographer. But it's fun to do that for a change, especially as regards cool guitars.
What is the hardest part about doing this particular book?
Probably I don't know. I mean, there's a lot more that could be said. The hardest might be what to leave out, because a lot of people won't understand this. And again, if they'll say, oh, why didn't they talk about this or that? And, anything that isn't in here, in order to have that in, we would have had to leave something else out. There's usually a fixed budget for print and page size and ink and all of it. And so it's like you get 35,000 words and that's pretty much it, So with a subject like this, one of the hardest parts is just deciding what to leave out. So you write, and then you go back and look at your chapters and you usually have to decide what to cut back, that might be it. Aside from the thing we've already talked about of like, this has been done before, so how are you going to make it fresh?
Well, I just think it's fascinating. And there's quite a big crossover in my line of work, which I'm not going to start getting into. So I'm looking at this from a guitar.
Enough about you, Dave. Let's talk about Todd.
I literally just said I'm not getting into it.
I was hoping.
Because I wanted to point out why I'm some of the reasons I'm asking all these questions.
Of course.
Because I'm as a guitar enthusiast, I'm wildly excited about this, but also from the production of it and what goes into it, it's like, oh, this is a crossover thing that I'm experiencing. So okay, so here's something that we were talking about. I can't remember who I was talking about it with, but nevertheless, it was a conversation, and it was the point of why don't I think we were doing a disservice to beginning guitar players, and this comes down to all the people that run, stores and the mega stores and everything. Like 90% of every new kid that gets there's like, I want to learn guitar, they walk out with a little practice amp and a Strat.
Yeah
And that has always driven me nuts, because I actually get quite a few parents saying, well, I want to buy my kid a Strat. I'm like, don't do that. And so I'm like,
buy a
Telecaster. Get a Telecaster. It's like, start there. It's the best way to do it. So if you want to comment on that, I think that we can give a public service announcement to all the parents out there who are we're going to be going into holiday season.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And you're right. And the Strat is, I don't know if it still is, probably the most copied electric guitar design in history, right?
For sure.
Oh, absolutely.
And all those, you can usually find a tele version of it, but everybody, I guess the Strat is sexy looking. It's got the curves and it's got the whammy bar and it's, got 3 pickups and all the stuff that they that the Fender sales team used to sell it in the first place is still selling $150 Strats to big parents of beginning guitarists, right?
Yeah.
And it's more of a mess. There's more to fiddle with, and that doesn't stay in tune as well because it's hard to tune those well if you don't know how to deal with the tremolo, the vibrato, tailpiece, and all that.
It's a nightmare for the
set it
parents,
up
for the whole family.
Yeah, it really is fun for the whole family
because they're not going to play it. Then they're going to be, Jimmy, why aren't you playing your guitar? Because it hurts my fingers. It doesn't sound
stay
right.
in tune. Yeah, and a Telecaster can just be so much. Even a basic one could be made to stay in tune well and be easy to work with. And you've got 3 pickups settings, and it sounds, and even really good Strats can be thin and bright in the bridge position sometimes, and people struggle. Hence all the swapping of pickups and all that
it's
stuff.
hard to sit and play with too. I've never found that to be the case with the Telecaster. It's literally the best sitting. I think it's the best one to sit with, and most people when they're first starting, that's how they do it.
Yeah, sure. And there's less to go wrong. Yeah, there's just less to go wrong with it. And they probably get a lot further with it. It's, it's kind of a more well-rounded sound, and the volume knob doesn't get in the way when you're picking and all that stuff. Yeah. I think that's a good service. You should definitely keep putting that out there.
Well, I think this is the beginning of it, and the fact that you vouched for that means everything.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So the last bit about that, and I think this is important, is that as we get on in our musical endeavors and careers and lifetimes and everything, there's a difference between, like, I have a guitar and I play it, and one that you pick up and you feel like a bond with.
Yeah.
And I think the Telecaster is probably like the most direct way to do that I can imagine.
Yeah, I think so. I'd agree.
Because not just for all the things that we mentioned about just a Strat, that it is a sort of prohibitive. It's like the idea, if you're playing music and you're fiddling, you're like, am I going to step on this thing and I got to hit the thing? And it takes you out of the experience. Mm-hmm. And that's just, I think that is something that's really important, especially for beginning guitarists.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I kind of have this mantra to myself, and I say it to other people if I'm playing with them, but especially like in a recording situation or something, like, when in doubt, Telecaster. If you're trying to get the right sound on a track or something, and the Les Paul, the 335 isn't working, or the Strat, whatever, not that those are all here all the time, but, if you're not sure about a sound, you can almost put a Telecaster in any setting on a recording and make it work and make it sound great, and usually pretty quickly.
Indeed. We've done good in the world right now, believe me.
See?
Okay, Tony, you got it.
Yeah, I've got a question. So we, of course, all know and love the standard Telecaster.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, which camp you belong to? Are you when it comes to Telecaster variants?
Yeah.
Especially 70s and beyond. Are you more of a thin line guy or more of a custom/deluxe guy?
I am more, like, if you're talking with wide range humbuckers from that era.
Yes.
More of a thin line guy. And the deluxe, I think the deluxe is a cool design and can be great, especially with the vibrato on it. But they're usually really, really heavy. Yep. And the thin line comes out usually at a pretty decent weight. I do like the custom also with the Tele bridge pickup and the wide range humbucker in the neck position, but those are kind of off balance usually a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I did have I think it was a 74 in natural, which is what a lot of them were, thin line. I sold about a year ago. I had it for a couple of years maybe, and just got it because I thought it was so cool, and they're not that expensive, and I ultimately decided I didn't really need it, but it was just a really cool sounding guitar, and those pickups are a thing unto themselves, and you kind of have to play a few to find one that plays okay, because they've got that, that three bolt neck attachment and the bullet truss rod adjustment and stuff, which all can be functional, but it's not that those in and of themselves are bad. It's just that they were being used in an era where they were taking less care with the manufacturing, I think, is the thing.
Yeah, the pockets were pretty sloppy on a lot of those.
Yeah, and the neck shapes were kind of getting a little bit I don't know, almost random, like they weren't being made by people who played the guitar or something, But a lot of them are great, and not to talk any down, because a lot of great music was made on those guitars, right? Not just in the 70s, but years after, they became another kind of punk and alt and grunge favorite, and those pickups sound super cool. One of the things you can do that I recommend, people don't like to change guitars, especially vintage guitars that are original, but if you find it within yourself, one of the best things you can do is change out those 1 meg volume pots and put a 500K in, because they sound shrill and harsh usually otherwise. And a lot of guys will say, well, you can just turn the tone down a little bit, but the tone pot doesn't work correctly with that 1 meg thing in there. And change it to 500K and it's instantly gorgeous sounding.
Why do you think that Fender, because that was the era, well, that was actually post CBS pretty much, I think you find it. Why do you think they switched to the 1 meg pots over the
Yeah,
the
and they did and they started switching with those with the, I should know, and I can't remember if they came in on the earlier Jazz Masters, but then they did
Jaguars, early
Jags.
Jaguars. Yeah,
so they did. Yeah, so that was a thing that they started. I mean, even when Leo was still there, but I mean, probably just because brightness and fidelity was key. The same reason as all the bright switches and things that make so many of those amps too bright if you use them the wrong way.
Right.
That was probably it. But then, putting them on the Telecaster, and even the late '60s Telecaster, same story. You really don't want that on there, except if it's a '68 Tele. You kind of hate to take it apart if it's original, but
yeah.
I have two, I guess, very surface level. These aren't very deep things. Maple or rosewood?
Oh.
For Telecaster, I do like maple. I've had some rosewood Telecasters that sound, fantastic, and I've played others that sound great. And sometimes it's just a nice little touch of warmth, and that might be my imagination, because from one Tele to the next, or one guitar to the next, I'm not sure how much difference you can hear in a fingerboard. There should be some difference, but you know what I mean? By the time you change everything else, you can never really properly A/B like something like that. But for a Tele, I do like the maple board, just the snap and the look of it. And if it's the right Telecaster, it shouldn't be bright and shrill, and I don't like that ice picky Tele sound, which so many of them evolved into having later on, like the one that's kind of meaty and gritty. It's twangy, but it's got some muscle to the bridge position,
All right, I'm going to add a clarification on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you skunk stripe or not?
Yeah, skunk. I mean, because all the early ones had skunk stripe, but I did for a good while have. What did I have? I think it was a '68 maple cap neck Tele a couple years ago. And those are great. Most of those are really good Telecasters, and those just happen to be really great necks. A lot of them from that era, mid to late '60s, before the skunk stripe. Well, the skunk stripe came back in, and they had it in on the rosewood boards too, which was kind of crazy for no real reason, but just because I guess that was the tooling that still worked, or they forgot to tell them it was.
You don't need that.
Maple boards.
For clarification to those that may not understand what you guys are talking about, can you elaborate?
Yeah, they brought in like late 1959 or so. They brought the rosewood fingerboard onto the Telecaster. And if I'm wrong with any of these dates, hopefully not by much, but there's a lot of stuff to try to remember all at once. And so the rosewood fingerboards came in. Before that, it was a one piece of maple. So in order to put the truss rod in that helps to keep the neck straight, they would route a channel out from the back of the neck, and they would put a piece of walnut or darker wood or something in there to fill the channel. So they started calling it a skunk stripe. And that's on the back of the all maple necks. So they didn't need that when they had the rosewood fingerboard on top, because they already had, sliced open the neck, and they could route it from the top and then put the fingerboard on. Then when they started bringing maple necks back again, initially for several years, they made them like the rosewood necks by slicing the maple off the top, putting the channel in, and putting the maple back on again. So it was an all maple neck, but it was made out of two glued together pieces of wood.
My 60th anniversary Tele has that.
Oh, right, the maple cap neck.
Yeah.
Those were some great necks on those. Brad Paisley is a big fan of those necks, apparently, and a lot of people swear by them. They made some great Telecasters just those early years after CBS bought the company. Yep.
Okay. Also, what mod? And one of the reasons I absolutely love the Telecaster is because you can mod the living bejeebers out of it. You know,
Yeah.
it is the hot rod of the guitar world. What mod do you really not want to ever see on a Telecaster?
Oh, do I not want to see?
Yeah.
I know. I'm fine with some of the symbols. If it's an early one, it's not a museum example. I'm fine with people putting modern wiring on it if they want those three traditional positions. And you can look with some, you can wedge the switch in and sort of get those positions anyway, but it's a little different. A little bit of that. If something's been changed, you need to refret them if the frets are low and all that kind of stuff. And if a pickup, like maintenance is different, right? If a pickup dies, you have to rewind it or whatever.
Yeah. I'm thinking like hardware stuff.
Yeah, I don't ever want to see a brass nut on any guitar.
But that's where the sustain comes from, man.
Exactly. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see a 6-saddle bridge put onto a vintage Telecaster either. And a lot of people did it, and a lot of great players did it, but and you can intonate it better. But I think the 3 saddles, 2 strings per saddle, is part of that solidity and the sustain.
Sort of the soul of what you're trying to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it does, and I don't think it's really necessary unless you're that much of a stickler.
How about a 4-way switch?
Well, if the wiring's already been played with, that doesn't bother me. I've never felt the need for one though, because I've had that middle position that becomes a kind of pseudo humbucking thing, and I often don't ever find much of a need for it because it's too wide and fat sounding. I think it's almost too huge compared to everything else you've got. And if you want that sound, pick up your guitar with a humbucker.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thinking on that. Yeah,
humbuckers in Telecasters.
Well, if it's been done, if you didn't have to cut the wood out to do it yourself, and you stumble on a good older Telecaster with a humbucker in the neck position and it's done right, that can be really cool. But often that throws it out of bounds with the bridge position.
I prefer a Filtertron.
Oh, do you? Yeah, those sound good. Yeah, a lot of people are putting those in now. Yeah, it probably balances better. Or P90 can be pretty cool in there.
Yeah.
With humbuckers in, the ones we were talking about from the 70s, that's a different story, obviously, and those belong there and they're pretty cool. And I think there's nothing wrong with those. And, or newer makers, Danacaster or K-Line, or people who might make a vintage looking Telecaster and stick 2 humbuckers in, they can be pretty cool guitars,
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I think we've juiced this lemon.
I think so.
As much as we can for right now. I mean, I know that Tony and I would.
We can go on for the next 3 days.
Yes.
By the way.
Yes.
If someone wants to listen to Dave's first appearance, that's episode number 242, where we talked a lot about his book, Fender 75 Years.
Yes. Fender all over.
Deja vu, I know. Yeah.
75?
It's 75 all over again, yeah.
And soon we'll be talking about 75 Strat, I guess, right?
Well, they jumped the gun and did the 70th anniversary of the Strat a few years ago, which I don't know. Whatever. It's there. I think it's a good book. I'm happy with it. But
just take the same book, just cross out the O, put a 5
on it. Put another couple pages at the end.
Yeah.
I think I'm done with anniversary books. But the Telecaster, the Fender 75 of the whole company history was a lot of fun. But the Telecaster's always been close to my heart, and this one was a pleasure to do. Yeah.
You can tell. I mean, honestly, good. I think you really can. This is filled with somebody who. Content from somebody who really gets it.
A labor
really
of love.
Cares. It is a labor.
Thank you.
Of
I'd
love.
like to think so. I appreciate that. Yeah. Thanks.
Last question.
Mm-hmm.
On the note that you just said, I'm done with anniversary books, and this isn't. I'm not trying to wedge you into some other kind of anniversary book.
Yeah.
But I would love to know, Blue Sky. What if you were offered to write another book? What would you hope it would be about?
Oh wow! I mean, I think it would be fun to write a book on the creative small shop electric guitar builders working today. You know, a wide range of those people. People they get referred to as the boutique makers, but you know, the really like one man or just a few guys or one woman shops. You know, making some really interesting stuff. I think that'd be fun. I don't know if there'd be enough of publishers today would say there's not enough of a market for it, probably. But people are doing some great work and some really creative stuff, you know. So I think I'd enjoy doing that, you know. And it would be fresh material.
Yes. Okay. Well, we're going around third.
Yes.
Tony.
Yes.
The bass coach is waving us on.
Are we going for home?
The bass coach is Dave.
Dave wants to go home.
Go for it.
He's windmilling. He's
Slide,
windmilling.
slide.
Oh no, I missed the plate.
Head first, Tony.
That's right, Todd. At this point of the show is a little game we like to play called
Would you rather?
Todd
Yes.
almost forgot to push the button.
I was enthralled with what you were delivering.
Oh, my delivery was that
Yes.
impeccable. So, this week's Would You Rather. We've got the time machine back out. We had a little glitch. We got the date and everything working really well. You plug in a year, month, whatever you want to do. But it's getting the location is a problem. Right now, I guess it's not a real problem because it will only go to Fullerton, California. So the question is, and I've often thought about this, what I would do if I were ever given this opportunity. But there's two choices that we can plug into the time machine. The first is to go back to 1949 to Fullerton, California, and sit down with Leo Fender, who had just come out with the what is commonly referred to as the Snakehead Telly, or the Esquire, more accurately, the prototype that had, you know, a 3x3 headstock, but the body shape was about right, and the neck was very similar. And you can talk about whatever you want. You have, you know, like an hour or two. You want to sit down. You know, he'll probably crack open a can of peanuts for you, and you know, spread those around. Sometimes, if he really likes you, the cashews might come out. Or the other option is to go to Fullerton, California in 1965, just after the CBS purchase, and sit down with Leo Fender and talk about what he's learned over the last 16 years. Which would you rather? Go back to 49 when he was just trying to figure this stuff all out? Hey, you might even, you know, plant a couple of seeds in his head. Oh. Or to 1965 and talk to him about, see what he's learned over those years.
Okay.
Do you want me to go first?
Please.
I would definitely want to go back to 1949 and just sit there and just pick his brain, because just to see what he was thinking, what caused him. I mean, I know he had a couple of people helping him with the construction and such, and some players helping him with the design, but I mean, as we talked about earlier, you talk about hitting a home run on the first pitch. I mean, that's what I'd love to, just to be able to, just to see what he was talking about. And I do like cashews too.
Yes.
Dave, what about you?
You know, I'm with you, Tony. I think 1949 and see, yeah, how he envisioned he was bringing this thing to the world, what he thought musicians needed, and how he felt he could deliver that, what some of the early thinking was, and some of maybe what he'd abandoned, you know, what his thought process was for putting this thing together. And, you know, here's some of what he'd had for feedback from some of these musicians already, from the amplifiers, because he was already well accepted as a good amplifier builder, you know, and from the steel guitars and stuff like that. And yeah, just see this on the cusp of coming out, really, just pretty, as you say, pretty close to being there. And I think 1965 would be fascinating, but I also feel like he might be a little tired and a little jaded, and because he, was not feeling his best. He had this chronic sinus infection, and he wanted to put it all behind him and go on his boat and cash out. Although at the time, his innovations that ended up in G&L ultimately were, things like 3-bolt neck attachments and headstock and truss rod adjustments and different kinds of pickups. And things that were interesting. So he was still interested in innovating, but they were the things that are maybe less appealing to a lot of us than what he was dreaming up in 1949. So yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Cool. Todd?
I'm going to go the same route.
49.
For sure, yeah. I think.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, it would just, you're right. It'd be interesting. I think the only thing that would be, where I was on the fence on picking that would be, it would be cool to hear, like, what does he think everybody's getting wrong?
Yeah, that's true. After that 15 years of it, yeah.
They're not putting enough screws in the pick guards, I tell you.
Yeah.
How many screws do you need on a Mustang guard? Come on.
Fantastic.
Yeah, indeed. All right. Well, this has been great fun as per usual, and we need to thank some people.
Yes.
For helping us make all the fun.
Oh, yes, Todd, because at this point of the show, there's a special group of people we love to thank. These are our executive producers.
That's great.
Now, an executive producer helps make this show possible. How do you become one? Head over to patreon.com/Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple different levels in which you can participate. Become a friend, a sponsor, a hero of the podcast. Mm-hmm. Each level comes with some very nice thank you gifts and opportunities to win great stuff. As I said, through our infinite giveaways.
Infinite's a little bit strong, but we try to do as many as we can. Yes.
The giving never ends.
Yes.
Yes, we give till it hurts.
Yes.
And then we keep giving.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, there is one thing.
You get to have your name right on the thing.
That was a little rude. You cut it in. You're jumping the gun now, Todd. That's right. You have your name read on the thing, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So special thanks to these executive producers: Anthony Lathrop, Brett Hogarth, Cameron Pampas, Darren Gregory, Don Kloss, Elad Mizrahi, James Bell, James White, John Esterly from Rare Buzzer Effects, John Sebastian, John Halverson, Justin Jones, Ken Sayers, Michael Senchuk, Mike Davenport, Owen Eads, Plutone, Ralph Gottschalk from Wonderful Audio Technology. What? Richard Kendall, Rick Calhoun. Well, I stumbled on that. I'm sorry. Rusty Sneeden, Stefan Lamb, Tom Barazin, Trevor Ellenberg, Trevor Gunberg, Vader and Pedals, and Caribou Gone.
Yes.
Caribou Gone.
Yes.
Yes. But Todd, there's another group of executive producers. We call them our Grand Poobahs.
Okay.
These are the top of the heap, the A number ones, and they have a fez.
Yes.
To put on their head.
Yeah.
And I'm
also thinking about importing a truckload of Iron Brew. Which I got to have
Iron
over there, to replace the orange Gatorade.
Well, I think that would be fitting.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Okay.
We'll get a container ship over.
Perfect.
I hear shipping's really cheap right now.
Super cheap.
And they get a flashlight, too.
Mm-hmm. Among many other things.
Among many, many other things.
Yeah.
And just the satisfaction of knowing they're helping a good cause.
Indeed.
So special thanks to these Grand Poobahs: Anthony Gemalero, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Bob Crouch, Brian Robison, Cody Foster, David Kaminga, David Tyndall, Enrico Fernando, Fox Hill Studio, Gregory Randall, Hex Matos. How's Hex doing?
He's doing all right. He's on the mend, but it's going to be a while.
Okay, good. John Williams, Martin Cliff, Matt Hart, Michael Van Zant, Michio Murakishi, Moon Guitars, Pedro Vasquez, Sam Jett, Steve Keys, James Pennington, Zach Oswald from Brandon Wound Pickups, Jonathan Labate from M2 Labs, Ty Barnes, James Castellano, and we have a new Grand Poobah.
Indeed.
A friend of the podcast.
Yeah.
From prior times. Mr. Kenny Howes.
Mr. Kenny Howes.
He was on our Rickenbacker episode.
Yes.
A while
Rickenbacker expert.
Yes, he is. Well, he
Oh.
should be. He
Yes.
should be. Thanks, Kenny.
Absolutely. That was wildly exciting to get that.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot do this without you. And we truly, truly appreciate you helping us make this the best part of our week. Tony, don't say anything. Just let that be. Just let that sit for a second. Don't take that away from me. We need to say a huge thank you to our friend Dave Hunter, the man with all the words and the vision to bring you all the history.
Thank you, Todd, and thank you, Tony. It's been a pleasure to be with you guys again, and always fun, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Absolutely. And when is this book available?
It's available, it might be October 6th or 8th. I forget. It's one of those nicely round early October
Very
numbers.
soon.
Very soon.
Very soon. By the time, I don't know when this hits the air, but it's
Probably
more.
next Tuesday.
So it should be either already available or available the next day. So likely by the time you're hearing this, you can find it.
Did we time this right or what? Yes.
Perfect.
Tony, where can people find the things that you do?
Head over to pickguardian.com. Check out the stuff I do. What do? I make custom pick guards for guitars. How do you get one? You shoot me an email. You let me know what you need. You let me know what material you want. You let me know what kind of pickups you're using. I'm going to make something special for you. You know, Todd always says, it's your chance to make your guitar even more your own.
Nope. Even more yours.
Even more yours. I screwed it up
I
again.
need a cue card now. That's right. You can shoot me a DM on Instagram. That's the best place to get me. We would love to hear from you. I've just gotten a couple messages from people who have been listening almost the entire time we've been on the air here. And it was just great to hear that. And just say hi. You know, tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. We don't care. Just connect with us, doggone it. How easy is that? All right. And make sure you listen to the Moleans on your next drive to work or back or both.
Well, that's very kind. Thank you.
Absolutely. It's great stuff.
It's easy. It'll be easy to find the new band because my name is in it. We're Dave Hunter and the 700. So when we get that album out there, it'll be easy to find.
Oh, perfect.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you have a fantastic guitar week. And subscribe!
Don't look back in anger.
Slight
I'm going to
range.
leave that in there for just
Banner
the
in the
sheer
works.
awkwardness
Yeah.
of all that.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. Yay.
Yeah, there's Tony.
Hi, how's it going, Dave?
Hi, Tony. Well, thanks. How are you?
You know, just as God made me.
Well,
So we're all suffering, is what he's saying.
yeah, I can't exactly. I'm not going to even go there. Get back to the inside of the book, Tony.
Let's do that.
Yeah, please.
Well,
For God's sake, yeah. Like, the clock's ticking here. It is
Thanks,
only so much
Dave.
time.
I'm just going to turn Tony down a little bit here.
Yeah.
Please don't turn me down. We have
one.
the new one,
Got
and
it.
we have another book
Yes.
that I'm going to talk about.
Oh, we got it. Yep.
You're so elusive. I'm pretty sure he knows what we're doing.
No.
And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.